take this time to really return the love deposit for Clifton because he does an amazing job with the Empower series. I really applaud the effort that you've put into this and the care that you've taken to selecting the speakers that you have, because last month, and I would say today, is a very special moment in building my speaking career. Last month, we had Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And 20 years ago, when I was graduated from college, I went to Canada, and then I went to the Phoenix Cardinals back then to try to build my career as a professional football player, and it didn't work out for me. So in the midst of my depression and feeling sorry for myself, my little pity party, one of my early mentors gave me the book, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, and we was discussing that just a minute ago. And that was truly the first book that profoundly impacted my thinking and how I saw myself. And last month when Dr. Kimbrough came, you know, she and I were talking, we had the same reaction. I'm like, what? Dr. Kimbrough, in all of my life, I still have that book. It's crusted, the spine is breaking off, the pages are turned. I had to steal it back from people I'd loaned it to. But I got a chance to meet Dr. Kimbrough and thank him for the work that he's done and the impact that he had. And I'm telling you, I mean, he gave me a big old hug, and it was a big man love fest happening when we did that. And for us to be a part of the Empower series and me following Dr. Kimbrough and him having that kind of impact on my life is truly, really a special moment for me. So I applaud you guys for coming out to invest in yourself. And he shared a little bit about my story. I won't share my story because this is not about me. This is about you. And to get this conversation started, I know there's a lot of financial professionals in the room, so I've got 3 numbers for you, and hopefully you can find yourself, well, how about that one don't work? So you can find yourself in these numbers somewhere. $26,000, 4.1, and 2.6. Does anybody know the significance of these numbers? Let's just start with 26,000. Anybody know the significance of 26,000, especially for this week? So 26,000, this week on Tuesday, as a matter of fact, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, the first time it ever topped 26,000 ever in the history of the United States. Now, for those of you, you watch the evening news, they say the Dow was up, the Dow was down. It's a financial indicator of the trends in our country's economy. 30 of the largest corporations across all different industries, and it shows whether the economy is growing or if it's shrinking. But it's an economic indicator that we use to gauge the health of our economy. 4.1. Anybody know the significance of that number? 4.1 stands for the rate of unemployment for 2017, which is at an I don't know how many year low. This is a truly low number. Again, another indicator of the health of our economy. What about 2.6? 2.6 stands for the gross domestic product for the United States. GDP, the rate of growth in 2017 was 2.6. A healthy economy is between 2 and 3. So 2.6 is phenomenal. Consequently, can anybody guess what the GDP of the state of Texas was in 2017? 2.8. 2.8, very good guess. Anyone else? 2.6? 3.8, making Texas the fastest growing and most productive and profitable economy of all the states in the union. What these numbers point to is an unprecedented time of economic growth and opportunity that's happening in the marketplace. But you don't need me to tell you that. These numbers don't have to tell you that. You can drive from downtown Dallas to downtown Fort Worth, and you can pass the cranes, the construction sites, the coming soon signs. Dirt is moving. There's growth and it's abundance out there. So what we're going to talk about here today is how to lead through innovation. And I want to put yourself in the mind of your professional brand and where you fit and how you position yourself in this market, because along with the unprecedented growth of our economy and the unprecedented opportunities out there, it also brings unprecedented competition in every field, every industry, everywhere. And if you fall victim to being complacent about your professional brand, you're going to suffer the consequences, not today, but later on. Now, particularly when we talk about innovation, this is an unprecedented time of competition, fierce competition, and rapid change. All right. I want to share with you 3 things to look at yourself, your professional brand, if you're a business owner, and we had introductions, so I know many of you are already business owners. Some of you are part-time business owners, but we work a full-time job. Some of you are employees, maybe not in a position of leadership or owning a business, but you may be an employee. But is there anybody here that is between jobs and looking for an opportunity? Awesome. So the 3 things I want to share with you, the first thing when it comes to positioning yourself and being innovative in your brand is you need to think like a 1%er. What does that mean? How can you improve every day by 1%? And if you improved every day by 1%, where would you be a year from now? What effect would that have on your results in your professional brand? Here's the challenge. As much growth as we see, when I interact with companies, hiring managers, HR directors, the ironic thing that they tell me is there's a lot of opportunities that they have, but they can't find talent to fill these jobs. Think about that. And it's not that they can't find warm bodies or people to interview. What they're saying is there's no one that's impressive. There's no one that makes an impact on them to say, we need that person to plug them into our organization. That's the problem. How many of you guys have more ambitious goals for 2018 and you have a vision for yourself to be in a different place this time next year? How many of you have more ambitious goals this year than you had last year? Well, I'm here to inform you that it's going to be a fight, because you're not going to get there easy, because there's a big opponent standing in the way of where you want to be a year from now. Question, who is that biggest opponent that's standing in your way of your goals and where you want to be this time next year? Holler back at me. Yourself. Everybody said that one. Yes, that is a good answer, but that's not your biggest opponent. In a way, it's similar. But I mentioned it earlier, and he mentioned it in the introduction. And this is what I go into organizations and try to find. The biggest opponent that you have to fight, that's going to keep you from your goals, that's going to keep that vision from coming to fruition if you're not careful and understand that it's going to be a fight, is complacency. You see, when you know you're in a fight, you can't be complacent because you'll get knocked out. Complacency is the biggest opponent that you have to fight in order to get what you want this time next year. And you have to understand that the odds are against you, because all the market forces want you to be complacent. Because if you become complacent, the market commoditizes you. Is that good or bad?
That's bad.
Why is that bad?
Because they profit off of you instead of you profiting.
Absolutely. If you're a commodity, that just means you like everybody else. You're not special. You don't stand out. I loved some of the introductions that you were introducing, who you were and what your business was, because that's a way to stand out. Your message, your value proposition. Do you have a message that speaks to people, that make them go, oh, and remember you? Or when you open your mouth and tell them about your business, they go, okay, right? You have to distinguish yourself in some kind of way, and you have to understand that all the market forces want you to be a commodity. If you own a business or you lead a business unit in the organization that you work for, you have to understand that your customer wants you to be a commodity. Why? It benefits them in what way?
You give them what they want.
Cheaper.
If you're a commodity and you're not special and consumers don't see you as being different than anybody else, it allows them to make their buying decisions based on the lowest common denominator, which is usually price, right? Or location, or a referral from a friend. And that, how many of y'all got a referral from a friend and that person they referred wasn't about nothing? I mean, it happens, right? It happens. But you got to understand the consumer wants you to be a commodity. Who else wants you to be a commodity? Your competition wants you to be a commodity. Why?
Because you're easy to take out. If you're a commodity, nothing special about you.
Pie-yow, hello world. If you are a commodity and you're my competition, it's easier for me to distinguish myself from you because I'll make everybody else think that y'all all the same and I'm different. And if I'm able to distinguish myself from you, I can charge a premium for my product or service and make more money in less time. The customer wants you to be a commodity. Your competition wants you to be a commodity. And there's someone else that wants you to be a commodity, and maybe this doesn't apply so much to business owners, but if you work for someone, your employer wants you to be a commodity. Regardless of what hiring managers say, well, we can't really find anybody, they want you to be a commodity. Why? Because you're replaceable. And they can get cheaper talent and less experienced talent to fill your role, and they make more profit. Ladies and gentlemen, complacency is the biggest opponent that we fight. And that's what's going to keep you from getting the things on the top shelf that you've never been able to reach before. But you have to know it's a fight. So these three things that I'm going to share with you are some things that you can apply to your brand to not be complacent. So as we mentioned, as I already did, I guess I can throw that blue one away since it don't work. You have to think like a 1%er. And what do we mean by that? One percent is not very impressive. But innovative leaders and innovative companies think like 1%ers. Go back to 2010. We just had these numbers that reflected the success in our economy. But in 2010, it was a totally different story. Do y'all remember that? That was just 7, 8 years ago. How quickly people forget. You see, 1%ers look in the past to learn lessons to apply what they're doing today to prepare to position themselves for the future. Think like a 1%er. In 2010, our economy is the worst it had been since the Great Depression. It was an all-time high in unemployment, over 10%. We were at a 33-year low in new home sales. Companies, some of them which were a part of the Dow, some of those large companies were contemplating bankruptcy. Do we just sell our shares and have a fire sale? Or do we need to merge with another company or a competition in order to save ourselves? That was 2010, but thank goodness we had an innovative leader that was in the Oval Office. And see, in 2010, we could not see the work that they were doing, but he and his administration had been working on that problem since 2008. You see, thinking like a 1%er doesn't show up today. That's why we dismiss this number, because it's not very impressive. But let's think about the different areas of our lives, our professional life, your professional brand, that you can improve by 1% a day. Just by 1% a day. You see, at high tide, and this is what I call high tide, when the economy is good, what they say about high tide, a rising tide what? Lifts all boats. So at high tide, not only does it lift all boats, a high tide can support a lot more boats. So there's a lot more boats on the water with you, competition. You see, but when the tide goes down, because a 1%er studies the economy and learns from lessons of the past, because if you're a 1%er, you understand high tide, what comes after high tide? Low tide. You see, 2010 was low tide. 2015, because we had a 1%er working on that problem for 2 years before 2010 when we hit a low, by 2015, it was high tide again. We were setting records on Wall Street. Companies were booming. There was an all-time record of GDP. This past year it was 2.6. In 2015, it was 2.9, the highest it ever has been. 5 short years. See, that's high tide. But if you think like a 1%er, now is the time to learn from the lessons of the past, to apply them to your professional brand today, to position yourself for the future, because what's coming? Low tide. When it's low tide, there's less boats because people go out of business. Resources get tight. People get laid off. There's less opportunities. There's less business to be gotten. So if you're one of the boats that are fortunate enough to still be afloat when it's low tide, where is your business going to come from? The other boats. You see, 1%ers prepare for that. Now is the time to distinguish yourself in such a way that when the market goes down, you become the most trusted, the most recognized, the less risk averse, the most expert, the most knowledgeable business or brand in the market. So people will flock to you. But it starts today. So real quick, if we think like a 1%er and we actually improved by 1% a day, and before I get there, holler back at me, what are different areas of your professional life or your professional brand that you can apply this mentality to improvement? Anybody? Everything, yes, but let's get specific because I want you to have some takeaways, because I want somebody to say something and go, oh, I can do that. What is it? Marketing. What are the different ways? Marketing is a big umbrella, but what are the different ways that we can leverage marketing? Yes, because marketing is a big umbrella because there's different ways that we can market, right?
So, speaking engagements,
Yes.
exposures, trade shows.
Absolutely. And where you're an expert is social media. When I go into colleges and universities, a lot of young people don't really understand because social media has been a part of their life since they were 10 years old, ever since there was smartphones. So you build a digital footprint that does not go away. So now that they come through college and they graduate and now they're trying to apply for jobs, when someone Googles you, what shows up? Your foolishness. If that picture from you 7 years ago throwing up off the balcony in Cancun, if you thought it, nobody you ain't thought about that, they can find that. Not only you didn't even commoditize yourself, you disqualified yourself from certain opportunities. So your digital footprint is very important. Whatever you post, whatever you put out there, you want it to reflect positively on your brand in order to distinguish yourself from everyone else who's chasing the same opportunities that you are. Not for today, but for tomorrow. What about your knowledge? 50 years ago, Earl Nightingale said, if you took 1 hour a day to read a part of a book or an article, you can be an expert in your specific area in 3 to 5 years. That was 50 years ago. Today, access to information is so abundant, just take 15 or 20 minutes. Man, people spend 15 to 20 minutes on social media and you can't get them minutes back in your life and you don't even know what you looked at. But if you took just 20 minutes a day to subscribe to an industry newsletter, follow a thought leader in your industry, read a blog, read, USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, whatever it is, just take that time to feed yourself, educate yourself. What would that do with distinguishing yourself in your knowledge level a year from now? Your skills. Many of us, and we'll talk about this in a minute, so I won't steal the thunder. So your skills are very important, but I'll park that conversation. But let's look at this. If we adopted this 1% mindset and we improved by 1% a year for 365 days, what impact would that make on the improvement in your professional life? Now, for those of you who are engineers or who was, those real brainiacs in high school that had them big Texas Instrument calculators with all them buttons that I couldn't even figure out what it was. So if we did this in a mathematical equation, we convert 1% to a numerical digit, which is 1.01, to the 360, You know I ain't good at numbers. It's 365th power. The numerical digit comes out to 37.76. Change that back to a percentage. You have to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. 3,776% improvement. It's the power of compound interest. Ooh, I just said something right there. That was good, wrong. Yeah, it was. I ain't even got time to unpack compound interest, because if you have a great interest in improving your brand, it is compounded over a period of days where the synergy goes bananas if you keep that mindset of a 1%er. The next thing. Y'all got that? That's good, Ron. I know. The next thing. Not only do you need to think like a 1%er, you need to leverage the power of curiosity. Don't stop learning. Don't stop asking questions. Don't stop challenging yourself and challenging what you think you already know. Write this down. Tweet it, post it on social media. Some leaders are so sure of what they know that they cannot see the future differently. Anybody know somebody like that? Some leaders are so sure of what they know that they cannot see the future differently. I want to share a story from antiquity to kind of emphasize this point. In 840 BC, the oracle at Delphi proclaimed Socrates to be the wisest man in all of Greece. But when that news came to Socrates, his response was not what you think it may have been. When Socrates heard that the oracle proclaimed him to be the wisest man in all of Greece, he thought that to be patently ridiculous. He thought it was sad and depressing that there was no one in all of Greece that he could learn from. So he said, I know what I'll do. I'm going to tour Greece. I'm going to go around Athens, go to the scholars, the temples, the astronomers, other philosophers and poets, and I'm going to sit and learn and debate from them, because back then that's how they learned, is through debate. So after several years of doing this, what he found is these so-called scholars and thought leaders place their authority of wisdom on outdated theories and logic that had been debunked as more information came out. Or they did not travel and continue in that state of growth and learning to go debate with other people, other scholars. So they stayed in their little fiefdom and was the smartest person where they were, and they did not know other information that was coming out. Ain't that like some folk today? When I know something, you can't tell me what I don't know, right? We spend so much energy defending what we know that we don't allow new information to expand our minds. Eventually, Socrates knew that the oracle was right, because he knew that he knew nothing. And that's what we know Socrates for now. The point is, we can never have a hubris of success, no matter how successful we have been, no matter what we've accomplished, no matter what we know, who we know. We can't always think that we've arrived and we've made it, because that's when you start to decline and be a commodity in the marketplace. You have to stay in a pattern of growth. Either you're green and you're growing, or you're ripe and you're rotting. Stay in a pattern of growth. Innovative leaders leverage the power of curiosity. When I struck out on my own and started my consulting firm for the life science business, I was a senior vice president at a healthcare firm based in Los Angeles. And I knew that the problems that I had solutions to, similar people who were in my position, those senior vice presidents, VP of sales and people like that, they spoke my language. So I started out by targeting them marketing myself as a consultant. And what I found was those people wanted nothing to do with me. No, we're not hiring. I'm like, I'm not looking for a job, so thank you for that. But they had nothing to do with me. So what I started to do is go above their head and target the CEO and the CCO of that organization. And twice, the CEO emailed the VP who told me no and said, set up a call with Ron Madison. We want to hear what he has to say. You see, innovative leaders keep themselves open to learning. If you're a CEO, it's not because you know everything, it's because you listen. You have to hear all of the complaints, all of the concerns, all of the issues that an organization is dealing with, and you have to filter it in order to make a final decision as to which direction you're going, because they know they're ultimately responsible to Wall Street, responsible for shareholders, board of directors, and the success of the organization, but they're not so full of themselves that they know that they cannot learn from anybody else because they are innovative leaders and they leverage the power of curiosity. How can you leverage the power of curiosity? What are ways that we can leverage the power of curiosity from day to day in our daily lives, in our professional lives? Networking,
Yeah.
right?
Seek the opinion of somebody that you admire or somebody that you believe to be in a position where they can give you sound advice.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Or seek the advice of those who have what it is that you're trying to achieve.
For sure.
Think tank.
Think tank, a mastermind. How many of you have ever been a part of a mastermind group? Okay, the concept of a mastermind has been around since the early 1900s. I mean, it's not new. It becomes kind of, cliche, right? But a mastermind group is a group of people, and it helps if you're with a group of people who are not in your specific industry, but it's there to share ideas, resources, networks, in order to help you get to where you want to go. And it's good because a trusted mastermind group, everybody's all in for each other, because what typically happens is if you're trying to get somewhere and I go to somebody who is in my industry trying to do the same thing I do and they see me as a threat, they're like, I'm not giving you no information, right? They want me to be a commodity. So expand your network and leverage the power of curiosity. How many of you are a part of a professional organization, professional association? Okay. Let's just name them, because there are a number of professional associations that supports the Empower series. I'm a part of two, NSN, the National Sales Network. I'm also a part of NSA, the National Speakers Association. What other, I know NABA, right?
Yes.
NABA. What others?
BNI.
BNR?
BNI.
BNI, right? Business Networking International. What others?
Can we share what the acronym for NABA is?
Please.
Okay, National Association of Black Accountants.
Absolutely. What others?
We have NBMBA,
MBMBA?
National Black
National Black NBA. Okay. What others? Chambers. Any professional associations? Texas Society of CPAs, chambers. You get the point. But the reason I bring that up is that's how you can, a very powerful way that you can leverage the power of curiosity, because in these organizations, if you are a journalist or an accountant, these people have the same skill sets, but they're not in your industry. See, I can be an accountant in healthcare. I can be an accountant in city and governments. I can be an accountant in IT. I can be an accountant in whatever, right? Professional associations, the purpose is to give you professional development opportunities or information or resources that are especially for people in that association that you may not get any other place. They offer professional development opportunities to help you polish and develop your skills in order for you to be better at what you do.
Toastmasters International.
Toastmasters is a good one. Toastmasters. John C. Maxwell, one of the foremost authorities on leadership in the world. He's written over 80 books on leadership. He has a book that's one of my favorites that says, everybody communicates, but few connect. How many understand that your ability to communicate is the number one skill that has the most profound impact on your ability to earn and increase your income? So how do we leverage the power of curiosity? Pick one. Pick one. There's people in these organizations. We talk about information, opportunity, and resources to get us to where we're going to go, but many people don't recognize it's the people who have the information, opportunity, and resources. Information ain't going to come slap you upside your head. You're going to get it from somebody you know. So you have to put yourself out there in a way that you stand out, distinguish your brand, that when people meet you, know you're a quality person, I want to add to my network. Not just, and people got, networking twisted. They network like their name is Jimmy. Everybody know Jimmy. My name is Jimmy. Give me all you can give me. You know what I'm saying? That's not networking. Networking is how can I help you? And if you are of value to someone else, they will return that favor. They'll be happy to return that. Hopefully, they'll be happy to return that favor. I love the fact that some of my friends are here because they're connectors. I know you, I know somebody else who might need to know you too. Not for me, but for you. For the benefit of someone that you know. To help you distinguish yourself from everybody else in the market. Leveraging the power of curiosity. I saw a commercial, I think it was AT&T Cellular. AT&T Cellular, if you sign up for AT&T Cellular, you get an iPhone, you get an iPhone free, and you get DirecTV free for a year. That's powerful networking, right? Because what that means to me is if I know you and your brand, that means I can know you and your brand and you and your brand, right? And there's a powerful connection here together, right? So whatever resources that I may need, I can get them through my network. Leverage the power of curiosity and become an innovator in whatever you do. The third thing, you have to stand out by thinking like a one percenter. You have to leverage the power of curiosity in everything you do to stay in a pattern of growth. And the third thing that makes innovative leaders and innovative companies industry-leading people, that they stand out in a way that projects value and commands attention from the marketplace, is mastery. You have to be brilliant with the basics. Not I with the basics. You got to be brilliant with the basics. Don't ever stop attempting to master the fundamentals of your craft. How many of y'all Cowboy fans? Okay, not too many hands going. Not too many hands.
We tired, Jerome. We tired.
Yeah, we tired. That's a Cowboy fan right there. You say Cowboy fan, you get, oh. But they just got a wide receiver coach. And they were talking about it on the radio, and they said, well, what's a wide receiver coach going to do? They need new wide receivers. Dez Bryant is washed up. We ain't getting nothing from Terrence Williams. All the other receivers that they drafted, they ain't do nothing either. They just need to draft more wide receivers. We don't need a new wide receiver coach. And the coach was talking about the difference between Dez Bryant and somebody like Jerry Rice. You see, Dez Bryant ain't washed up. He is still one of the most physically gifted people receivers in the National Football League. But what he has stopped doing is working on his craft. You see, as a wide receiver, he hadn't stop learning how to catch the ball. He can still catch a ball, but it's everything that happens before you catch the ball that makes you a master of your craft. He says when you're running a route, you can look on tape at his body position and where he puts his feet. That if you stop working on that, it cuts your career short. They start talking about taking some of that money they paid you away. But if you look at somebody like a Jerry Rice, who played well into his 40s, was never the fastest wide receiver, was never even close to being as physically gifted as Dez Bryant, but he was a master at his craft. He ran routes, and whether he's going straight, in, out, post, or corner, or hook, every one of them looked the same. So people couldn't guess what he was going to do. And he stayed super productive well into his 40s. Well after his skills had diminished, but he worked on mastering his craft. 3 things you need to know to master your craft. First of all, you have to have clarity on what it is that you want to improve. Clarity means focus. See, has anybody ever told you, you're good, you're pretty good at this, right? You're good, you're good. Good is the enemy of great. I'm good. As long as I can say I'm good, that doesn't motivate me or prompt me to actually work on it because I'm good. I know I'm good, but you're going to stay just good. And in the meantime, there's somebody working on their craft and they're focused on whatever it is and the things that we mentioned a minute ago. They're speaking, their professional presentation, their knowledge, their skills, their network, their relationships. They are clear about what they want to work on to be a master of. So when you do walk into a room and people do meet you, that shows up. And the person who's just good is just good a year from now when you're great. Clarity means focus, and focus gives you power. The second thing you need clarity. The second thing you need is consistency. It's not, you just don't do it once. Continue to do it. Even when you feel that you've mastered it, continue to do it. Because if whatever you don't use, you lose, right? You have to continue to do it, even if it's second nature to you. You see, when I was young, I used to love to sing. I ran track in high school, and I don't know what it was. That was the era when hip hop was coming, but we were still singing when we was in high school. We wasn't rapping. So me and my track buddies would get together, and we would sing, and all the other girls from the other track teams would come over and like, ooh, right? We was good. Even today, my wife tells me, baby, you done missed your calling. You know what I'm saying? But I wasn't consistent with it. I just sang good enough for girls to tell me I was cute and say, you sound good. That's all it was for me. But if I was more consistent with it, who knows? I could have been Babyface. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, well, maybe not Babyface. I could have been in Guy or, Blackstreet or something. A member. Who's the dude in the back? Yeah, that's me, right? But you have to be consistent with that thing that you focus on, that thing that you've identified that you want to improve in. Consistency is everything. So you need clarity on what you want to master. You need to be consistent, whatever it is that you put into mastery. And the third thing is you need a coach. Anybody who is considered the greatest in the world at what they do had a coach. LeBron James was one of the best basketball players in the world when he came into the NBA at 18. But today he continues to be the best basketball player because he does have a coach and he's coachable, but he works on his skills more today than he did when he came into the league 14, 15 years ago. Coaching. I just got certified by the International Federation of Coaches as an executive coach. I don't do life coaching, certainly nothing wrong with that, but I coach executives. And my sweet spot are people who work a full-time job but are working to build their brand or business part-time, because that's the path that I walked and I know it very well. Coaching is not about me telling someone what to do. It's not about you telling someone what to do. But a powerful quote is from Tony Robbins. He said, "The quality of the answers that you get in life are determined by the quality of the question that you ask." The quality of the answers that you get in life are determined by the quality of the questions that you ask. The emphasis of my executive coaching services is diversity, because diverse teams are smarter and better. The products that I have in the back of the room, I have a book, Claim Your Star Power, which is very much a memoir, tells my story, how I went from broke and unemployed with no options to a corporate vice president with stock options. But it's also a workbook that anyone who has a vision, an idea, a dream, it takes you through a process of answering questions for yourself to put that dream, that vision, that idea on paper. So by the time you get to the end of that book, you actually have an action plan to go out and do it. The book is $20. The other product is a 3-disc audio coaching program. What that does is take you through the concept, different from the book, takes you through the concept of manifestation from an idea, a dream, to conception. And it actually gives you business principles and a process to create your brand. That program is $75, but for this weekend for the Empower series, I add and I'm going to gift a free hour of coaching to anybody who buys that audio program. I charge my corporate clients $250 an hour for my coaching service, and they pay it. But I want to gift that to you because I don't want you just to buy it and that's it. You may or may not listen to it. You may or may not put it into action, but I want to help you go through it. I want to help you position that business in such a way that you have a burning desire to do it, and you'll know how to use the information that you're going to be listening to, because there's so much in that audio coaching program that will take you a year to actually put in motion. But I want to do that to make sure you get off to a fast start in building that business, that brand, that idea. I have a question, a daily question, because we talked about the power of questions and leveraging curiosity. I have a daily question for you that I'm going to leave you with. This daily question is going to put you in the mindset of the person that you need to be next year to accomplish the things that you have a vision or goals to accomplish. This daily question is going to have you transforming yourself every day by at least 1% in order to become the person that you want to become. Les Brown says, you don't get in life what you want, you get in life who you are. That daily question: how would the person I would like to be do the things I'm about to do today? How would the person I would like to be do the things I'm about to do today? If you have an organization or you lead a business unit in your company, you can ask it like this: how would the organization we would like to be do the things that we have to do today? My name is Ron Madison. I got wisdom for your mind and motivation with that behind. I appreciate all of you for being here today. Thank you.